Welcome back to the lecture series of Computer Organization and Architecture, unit number 4, Memory Organization. Today we will discuss about the 4.5, that is auxiliary memory. Learning outcome for the today's session is discuss different types of auxiliary memory. Auxiliary memory is also known as secondary memory. Auxiliary memory provides extra backup storage by using different types of disk, tabs, drums. Okay, permanent storage space to hold a large amount of data is known as the secondary memory. Sometimes the secondary memory is also known as the external memory. Secondary memory is cheaper and slower than the main memory. Secondary memory is cannot access by the CPU. So whenever you want to access data from the CPU, then first your main memory will means first your data will be copied in main memory, then it is transferred to the transfer in the required registers. Okay, so to communicate with the second memory, main memory is required. Secondary memory, or you can say the auxiliary memory devices, also includes the magnetic disk like the hard disk, floppy disk, optical disk, different types of magnetic drums and magnetic steps. These are the example of secondary memory. Now we will see the difference between the primary memory and secondary memory. Again, primary memory is also known as the main memory, and secondary memory that is means auxiliary memory. Okay. Now, the first difference is primary memory is known as the temporary memory, where secondary memory is known as the permanent memory. Why? Because whenever you will store your data in main memory, then whenever you turn off your PC, or you can say the power, then your data will be lost. But that thing is not happen in secondary memory. So in primary memory, your data can be accessed directly by the CPU, whereas in secondary memory, data cannot be directly accessed by your CPU. Primary memory, in primary memory, two kinds of memories are available: volatile as well as non-volatile. Volatile, that is example of RAM, and non-volatile, that is example of ROM. Okay, so main memory is made up of two kinds of memory, RAM and ROM. That's why volatile and non-volatile. The nature of secondary memory is always non-volatile, means your data will not be lost when you turn off power. Secondary, compared to the secondary memory, primary memory is costly and this one is cheaper. Okay, primary memory is faster memory compared to the secondary memory. This one is slower. Primary memory have a limited storage. It's have a large storage. It required the power to retain the data in primary memory, means if you want to store your data in primary, then power must be required. So in secondary memory it is not required. That's why it's become non-volatile, and this become temporary. So the examples of primary memory are RAM, ROM, registers, EEPROM, PROM and cache memory. These are the example of primary memory, where CD, DVD, HDD, magnetic tabs, flash disk, pen drive, all are the example of secondary memory. So this is the difference between the primary memory and secondary memory. Now, before discussing the different types of or the examples of auxiliary memory, we will discuss the few terms that you must know. The first term, that is access time. So the average time required to reach a storage location in memory and obtain its content, it is called as the access time. Because based on access time, there are different kinds of auxiliary memory and means without access time you cannot differentiate them. Then another one is seek time. So in electromechanical device with the moving parts such as disk and taps, the access time that is consist of seek time and the transfer time. Now seek time is required to position a read write head to the location, and transfer time, the transfer required time required to transfer the data to or from the device. So your access time is made up of two parts, that is seek time and transfer time. So seek time is a time required to position the read write head to that location, and transfer time that is time required to transfer the data to or from device. So this is known as the transfer time. Now, record. A record is a specified number or a character of words. Means the data which is stored at that location, that is known as record. The next one, that is transfer rate. The transfer rate is the number of characters or words that the device can transfer per seconds. Okay, so these terms are most important whenever you are talking about auxiliary memory. Now we will see the different kinds of auxiliary memory one by one. First, that is magnetic drum and disk. So here the working of magnetic drums and disk are similar, but here the rotating means the surface on which the data is stored, that is different. So here both this kinds of memory is made up of rotating high speed rotating surface coated with the magnetic recording medium. So the surface of drum is cylindrical, where a disk is a round flat plate. So here read and write head are used to do the memory read and write operations. So the amount of surface available for recording in a disk is greater than in a drum of equal physical size. So the capacity to store the data is in disk, it is greater than the drums. So more information stored in disk compared to the drum. So first we will see the magnetic disk. So this is the example of here you can see the image of magnetic disk. So it's made up of circular plate that can be constructed on metal or a plastic coated magnetized material. You guys already seen this disk, right? So here in both the sides of the disk are used, and several disks may be stacked on the spindle with the read and write heads. So it might be look like this. This is your middle on which your disk will be stored. So like there are multiple disks can be stacked. Okay, and the read and write head will be here, something like that. So all the disks rotate together at a high speeds and are not stopped or started for access purposes. So the bits are stored in the magnetized surface inner spots along the co-centering circles called tracks. So in the disk your data will be stored like in the circular form, right? Likewise. So the circular this circle is known as the tracks. Okay, and the tracks are divided into the different sectors. So this partition is known as sector. So the minimum quantity of information which can be transferred, that is in sector. So whenever you will perform the read and write operation, so whenever you will perform read operation, it will read this data, this much data. Okay, so it can read at a time it can read or write the data in sector form. So this is the example of magnetic disk. Now floppy disk. So this disk that are permanently attached to the unit assembly and cannot be removed by the occasional user, that are called as hard disk. Okay, that we are using in our laptops or in PCs. Now the disk drive that is removable, that is example of floppy disk, means it is known as the floppy disk. Right now we are not using the floppy disk, but in past we will use a floppy disk as a portable memory. Right now we have a pen drive and many more different kinds of auxiliary memories devices are there. So this is made up of plastic coated with the magnetic recording material. So this kinds of memory is portable as well as cheaper. So in floppy disk you can maximum store 1.44 MB, and right now floppy disk are not used because it's have a very less size. Now magnetic tap. This is example of magnetic tap. So it is example of non-volatile storage medium consisting of magnetic coating on a thin plastic strip. Might be this is the example of different magnetic taps. So this one is your cassette that you are using to play songs. Okay. So the tap itself a strip of plastic coated with a magnetic recording medium. So here bits are recorded on a magnetic spots on the tap along with the several tracks. So the minus point of this magnetic tap is that your data will be accessed in serial mode. Okay, so if you want to read the data from other location, then you have to perform rewind and all these things. So nearly all the recording tape of these types, whether used for a video, audio or a data storage using a computer. So most of the magnetic tapes are capable of reading and writing in several different density based on which types of tapes you are using. So this is for the auxiliary memory.